What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox. We've got a great show for you today. The trade finally happened. Aaron Rodgers will be a New York Jet. We'll talk about what that trade means for each team, and we're diving into the NFL draft with our very special guest, Simon Hunter. Will Bryce Young be drafted number one, or does Simon think that someone else will take the top spot? Plus, we'll give some best bets for the draft. So without further ado, let's welcome in our guest from the Action Network. He's the co-host of the Favorites Pod. Aloha, Simon Hunter, calling from Maui, or which island are we on?
Yeah, living on Maui. Good life.
What a great life. I have not been to Hawaii in the longest time. Now, are you from Hawaii, or did you move here just on
No, I'm
vacation?
from New Jersey, so I lived in Vegas for about 8 years. Moved back to Jersey when they legalized it, so I've lived in Jersey for, say, 5 years, and then Maui is kind of like an off-season runaway. So I just do NFL,
Cool.
so I kind of run away for 5-6 months and hide out in Maui. And it works with the time. Like it sounds weird. My work hours are usually on the East Coast from like 9 p.m. till 3 a.m. So it's nice in Maui. I can like live a normal life. I get done work about 9 p.m. So it's kind of nice, the 6-hour difference.
Yeah, hit your sports bet, people. If you hit all your bets, and you can also have another house in Maui to escape in the off season. All right, Simon, let's get right into Mock's thoughts. Aaron Rodgers officially traded to the Jets. It finally happened. It's so funny. I was watching the ESPN broadcast the other day, and everyone was acting so shocked that they couldn't believe it. And I was like, everybody knew this was going to happen. We just didn't know what exactly that trade was going to look like. So the Packers sent their 15th overall pick for this year in exchange for the Jets' 13th overall, a second-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and a conditional pick for the next year. What do you think of this trade? Because there was a lot of talk that, New York wasn't going to give a first-round pick, but it seems kind of like they could get that one back, or they are getting that one back. So it's a first, but not really a first. What do you think of this trade, and are there any winners, or are both teams winners?
I would say the Jets are the winners. The Jets haven't had a quarterback in, I don't know. I guess you could say Sanchez was a quarterback, but if you look at Rodgers' numbers, his worst season he's ever had would be like one of the best seasons in Jets history. So yeah, it's one of those where I get why the Jets fans feel like they won a Super Bowl, but from a bettor's perspective, they're a dead bet. You don't put any money on them at this point. The good number's gone. What you do at this position is you wait for them to start slow. Historically, Rodgers has started slow when he was at Green Bay. Now he's on a new team, the Jets. You expect him to start slow. So say they start the year week 1 with Dallas. Week 2, they might play the Chiefs. Week 3, they could be facing the Bills. There's just an easy path to see the Jets start 1-2, 0-3. That's when you bet the Jets Super Bowl future. So to me, if you already missed the boatload and you want to join the fun, you missed it. You can't just blindly bet a bet on the Jets right now just because you're a fan of Rodgers. We're the Jets. To me, you want to wait until maybe week 3 or 4. Let the Jets lose a couple games. They're in a tough division. You'll get better odds. Just in the AFC, there's just so many good teams. You're going to get better odds if you just wait and bet this Jets team. Once the love and the happiness kind of fades away for the Jets organization.
Yeah, to your point, they opened at 35-1. Now they're down to 14-1. So the value has dropped significantly. Yeah. And you're right, Aaron Rodgers does start very slow. So I think like you said, it's the Jets. Now I do love Robert Saleh. I'm a 49ers fan. It is the Jets, and the Jets. It's like the Mets met, right? And the Jets Jet. These 3-letter or 4-letter teams have a hard time in New York. All right, so Rodgers to win the MVP plus 1,800. Obvious. I'm not firing off on that. I don't think there is a prayer. First of all, like you said, in the AFC, the Bills are still the better team, even in their division. I don't see the Jets coming out super, super big this year. He's got to learn a brand new system. Yes, he has some of his friends there. Yes, he's got Nathaniel Hackett there, but I think he's going to struggle more than people think he will.
Yeah, and Miami wound up being the bet for most pros. It's just on paper, Miami and the Jets, not that different. The Jets might be slightly better just because Rodgers is more proven than Tua, but Miami's a really good team. So just the fact that, them, the Bills, and even the Patriots, they're all just going to be a tough out every week. So it's going to be definitely different than Rodgers is used to. He usually gets an easy win against the Bears, against Detroit. Yeah. None of that anymore now that he's on the Jets.
None of that anymore. And also, Green Bay media is not New York media. And
Yeah.
obviously, you're from New Jersey, right? The
Yeah.
Post is going to rip this man alive, especially if he starts slow. Are you kind of looking forward to a little bit seeing what the New York papers do to Aaron Rodgers?
I'm excited to see how he handles it because he just seems like one of the
Yeah.
softest people ever. Like, yeah, try to act like he
Yeah.
doesn't care, but those are usually people that really do care. So, yeah, seeing how Rodgers can react at when he's 1-3 or 1-2 to the New York Post,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a pretty good time.
It's going to be a good time. I just can see all of the headlines already. Okay, we're going to take a quick break before we get into Capper's Corner. You're watching Moxie Bets. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. Time now for Capper's Corner. Let's welcome back in our guest, Simon, and we're talking NFL draft. All right, so before we get started, something weird is kind of happening with the sports books right now. They've been pulling down their odds all morning. There's been a lot of movement specifically for the top 3 picks. And Will Levis apparently has a lot to do with it. So there was a Reddit post apparently where some insider said that Levis has already been telling his friends and families that he's 100% going to Carolina. They have guaranteed that to him. People started hammering Levis. His odds have shifted all over the place. Obviously, it's not really substantiated in anything, but what do you think?
I think it just is a great example about how, emotional and crazy this week before the draft can be. So
Yeah.
I would love to poo-poo it, but we've seen in the past that when you have 4 or 5 different quarterbacks, there's no one guy going to the top of the draft. A lot of craziness can happen in the final week, and we saw that when it happened with Baker. I mean, Baker Mayfield was never supposed to be the number 1 pick. I'll never forget this. I woke up Wednesday morning. I think he was 10-1. By the time I woke up Thursday morning, the day of the draft, he was the favorite. So that's one of those where I'm shocked because I've watched Levis's tape, and I mean, the kid's got an arm. I agree on that, but I just would not be taking the 1 pick. So it's pretty amazing now. We've seen the public kind of move this number. But I tell people all the time, it's because the books limit how much money you can get down. So
Right.
if the books are, say they got a couple $1 million right now on Bryce Young to be number 1 pick. If 20,000 people on Reddit saw that post and they all bet $100, I mean, you can do the math. That's going to be a big, big movement to that number. So it's kind of crazy that it's moved so much off a Reddit post. But that's why we love draft week. It's kind of all hearsay. I mean, it's just going to be a lot of GMs and owners throwing out a lot of BS, and people are going to either buy it or they're going to sell it. And we've seen the lines move. The books don't know. Like, the books can act like, yeah, we know it's Bryce Young going at 1. They don't know. They let the market dictate it. Yeah. So the market's clearly dictating the number right now. And Bryce Young's down to minus 700 when he was just minus 3,000 not even 12 hours ago. So a lot of movement here in this week heading up to the draft.
So what is your advice then on betting the draft? Because like you said, it's a lot of smoke screen. It's a lot, the books maybe don't know what's going on. Although I do feel like they've gotten in the last couple of years a little bit sharper than they were kind of when this first started opening up. But I do feel like there's so many smoke screens. Do you wait until like the night before or the day of, or do you lock some stuff in earlier? Because there's so much movement on this. And should you be afraid of the juice? Or is this one of those things where if it's, a minus 3,000, which of course nobody wants to bet that, but unless you're betting a lot of money and you can actually make a profit off of it and get a house in Hawaii like you have here. But what do you do? Are you afraid of the juice? Do you do more long shots? Do you wait until the very end? Is there a strategy?
Yeah, for the most part, once it crosses, say, minus 300, I kind of stay away from it just because I have to pay runners and I have to pay taxes. Like, that's the thing people don't understand. It's like, yeah, it's nice when I win these bets, but I also have to pay someone to go make the bets for me, and then I have to pay taxes on those bets. So it can get pretty expensive. That's why I'm always looking for the plus numbers. So to me, what I do in these scenarios is I kind of bet against public perception. To me, the public, I don't want to say they're dumb, but they're just very sheep. They just go along with the herd. Yeah. So if the herd says Bryce Young's the number 1 pick, that's what everyone's going to believe. So I'm probably going to get caught this year. It's been a while since I've been caught this bad in the draft, but basically as a professional, I need to start betting in December to get money down. Like, it just takes a long time to get a lot of money down. So when I started breaking down all these players, I had a 2nd round grade on Bryce Young. So I know it sounds crazy to people, I know, but 5 years from now, I might not look as crazy because the same thing with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
there's these guys who are a little undersized and they don't have the right body style. And, I try not to go too crazy with it because there's always unicorns. Like there's always the, Drew Breeses of the world. These guys, Russell
Yeah.
Wilson, these undersized guys who they have the arm talent and they have the brain to make it in this league.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, yeah, that we'll see about that. But yeah, it's tough where, Bryce Young is incredibly talented. He's one of the smartest QBs coming out of college. He just does not have the body for it. The kid is 5'10", 180.
Yeah.
That's just not gonna work in this league. It's again, I like Tua a lot. We saw Tua last year get tossed around like a rag doll. And Tom Brady, he played for 6 straight seasons. Like he played from 39 to 45, didn't miss a single game. Because what? He knows how to take hits. He knows how to fall. He knows how to get rid of the ball. You can't really teach that stuff. So as much as I want to knock Bryce Young, he could end up being a great pro. But from where I'm standing, I didn't think he would be. So I bet heavily against Bryce Young to be the number 1 pick. I bet a ton on Anthony Richardson. The kid's 21, has great pocket presence, big arm, good body, athletic. He's not going to be the number 1 pick. I bet pretty big on CJ Strauss to be the number 1 pick. Again, this is all December, January, leading up to this draft year in April. And, this last, month, I think it's just been all Bryce Young. So I can't do anything about it, right? I kind of missed my opportunity to hedge out. So if Bryce Young does go number 1, no joke, looking at a 6-figure loss. So that's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, but obviously I've done pretty well in the other drafts where it kind of evens out. So this would be, if Bryce goes 1, this would be my worst draft since like 2015. But, that's how it goes, where I made a bad evaluation of the kid. The kid clearly wowed and, did really well getting interviewed. And that was just a bad read on me thinking Bryce Young was a 2nd-round pick.
Well, who knows though, right? Anything can happen. I just remember as a 49ers fan, nobody thought really that Trey Lance was going to be the number 3 overall. A lot of people thought it was. Oh, you did? You got that one?
Yeah, I made a lot of money off that.
Oh, okay. So you're a big Trey Lance fan then. They do a lot of money.
I was just I was not a Mac Jones fan. I was like, this kid is not it. This kid is not going to be a top 5 pick. So I don't even know. I think it was 2 weeks of no sleep because I think every expert in the world on TV was saying Mac was a guaranteed to be the 3rd pick.
Yeah.
And I kept telling all the people listening to my show and all my clients, these people are just hearing what they hear from agents. They don't really know. Right. And you're getting, I think it was plus 600 the day of the draft for Trey to be the 3rd pick, closed up plus 300. So again, that's why I get a lot of rope here. I can lose a decent amount of money here just because I've had some good runs over the couple of years.
Yeah. So if we look at the top 1 overall now, and I know you put your picks in December and you said it's too late to hedge, but let's just look at some of the market movement here. Bryce Young, minus 1,200 right now, was minus 1,600 yesterday. You got Will Levis, plus 550, was plus 1,600 yesterday. Yeah. Then you got CJ Stroud. A lot of talk about CJ Stroud. I feel like there's a lot of analysts and people that have been kind of putting him down, and his draft odds has shifted a little bit. He's plus 2,000 now. He was plus 900 yesterday. He was the favorite. He was the number 1, when a lot of these odds started coming out. You got Anthony Richardson here, who you said you've got a ticket on, plus 3,500. When you look at these odds today, what do you think?
I think that it kind of makes sense from what we heard, where when I graded out these players, like my number 1 player on my biggest, my mock draft board was Jalen Carter. My number 2 was Robinson, the running back from Texas. And my number 3 was CJ. Now, the fact that I've seen CJ's test, he did so bad testing. That's a big deal. I can see why now that he isn't the number 1 pick, or he still could be, but now it makes sense. But again, Richardson did really well in the cognitive test. So to me, Richardson's 20 years old. The kid doesn't turn 21 until May 22nd. Wow. Hooker, the kid from Tennessee, they're talking about being a 1st-round pick. He's 25. That means when he signs his new deal in 5 years, he'll be 30 years old. Richardson will be 25. So that's one of those things where it's like, I get why people fall in love with these different quarterbacks, but to me, as much as I want to move CJ down, I'd probably move him down just 2 spots. Anthony Richardson now is my number 1 quarterback in this draft class. If this kid ends up on the right team, say he does end up, Tennessee trades up the 3rd pick, they take him, or the Colts take him at 4. I love this kid's upside. Now, the other side, if he got drafted by Houston or Carolina, I don't know if I'd feel as great about it, because those are both 2 organizations that they've had good quarterbacks and they really didn't do much with their talent. I mean, yeah, Cam got to a Super Bowl.
Ryans. New coach.
Yeah, it's true. So it's tough when I look at this draft board. I think the public is in for a surprise. I still don't think Bryce Young goes 1. To me, unless it's the owner stepping in, Tapper, and he's the one making the choice here, I just can't see it because I've seen Frank Reich talk about it all the time. The QB sneak is a huge deal. We just saw the Eagles somehow get to a Super Bowl with a QB sneak. Are you really going to give a QB sneak to a 5'10", 180 quarterback all the time? I just can't see it. Where, CJ's 6'3", 220. I mean, Anthony Richardson's 6'4", 220. It's just, again, it comes down to the body weight. So
well, you look at Kyler Murray and all the struggles that he's had being so short. And
exactly.
He can't see over them. He can't see his guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, if you want to be a crazy person like me, I like to bet contrarian bets. Like I like to bet CJ still be the number 1 pick. You said it's 35-1 or something like that. Like I'll throw a little penny on that rather than betting minus 700 on Bryce Young. It's still up in the air. So to me, if you want to do the Levis, I don't hate it. I just anything but public perception to me, because we talk all the time. If you're betting something, even Levis at plus 400, you don't have to hit that bet once every 4 years to get good money out of it. But if you bet Bryce Young at minus 700 and you lose that bet, like that's a bad bet. You're literally betting a ton of money not to win that much. So to me, that's kind of what I do here. I kind of go contrarian and bet little craziness for the draft because, like I said, people say they know, but in the end, they really don't know.
No, nobody knows. Okay, so you talked about the Texans. Let's look at that number 2 overall pick. There's been rumors that they might pass on a quarterback, maybe an O lineman, maybe a D lineman. Whether or not there's truth to that, here are the odds for going second. You got Will Levis plus 130. It was minus 130 yesterday. Then you got Will Anderson plus 250, CJ Stroud plus 350, Tyree Wilson, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Anthony Richardson now plus 3,000. What do you think about the number 2 overall pick? They gotta go quarterback. I mean, they're not, Davis Mills. Like, come on now.
I know, but it's tough just because of the Williams factor. Like next year, arguably one of the best quarterback prospects we've seen since Andrew Luck or Trevor Lawrence is coming out. So to me, it seems like if they don't love the USC kid, if they're like, okay, you know what, we do like a kid in this draft, I think they're going to take him. And to me, that's Bryce Young. Like I know that Bryce Young, it sounds crazy because he's going to go 1, but if he doesn't, that's who Houston wants. They've been talking about it all, 3 months now. They love Bryce Young. So I don't hate the bet on betting Bryce Young there. I know people are saying they're going to take a defensive player and they'll take a quarterback at the 12th pick. That's so crazy to me. You want to get your guy. You don't want to mess around. You don't want to play with your food here. So to me, I bet quarterback here for Houston. I know a lot of pros I've talked to, they don't like it that it's a new DC as the head coach, right? Like they keep bringing that up, that it's a defensive coordinator now as their head coach. And, that is a big deal to me. That where did he come from? Was it the 49ers?
DeMeco Ryans came from the 49ers. Yeah,
yes.
He was the but he played for the Texans for a long time, and then he kind of came up through for the 49ers. He started as like some kind of position coach.
And he's brilliant. Ended up like DeMeco, he's a genius. You watch the 49ers defense, so it's going to hurt if he does do what he wants to do and try to Nick Bosa type at the DN position. He's just like, no, I want to get this guy. Yeah. I don't know if we have that in this draft, though. Like we've seen Anderson drop in a lot of draft boards, and we've seen him now not be the number 1 defender taken. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's a clear Nick Bosa in this draft. So I'm still going to bet that it's going to be a quarterback. So once again, I'm not going to do what the public's doing, right? The public's taking, I think, Levis there in the 2nd pick. I'm going to go a little outside the box. I'm going to do Bryce Young. I'll do Anthony Richardson. I'll do one of those lower, higher position quarterbacks where I get a better plus number.
All right, let's move on to running backs. You got Bijan Robinson is the best back in the draft, but there's always that age-old question is, should you draft a running back in the 1st round? That said, Bijan could go pretty high. What do you think?
Yeah, I love him. I really do. Yeah. It's the same thing as Barkley. It's like, was Barkley a dumb pick for the Giants? Yes, because the Giants had nothing else around him. It's like,
I know.
His rookie year, if you go back and watch the film, he was incredible. He had no offensive line, no quarterback. Now, I should put in the front, I am an Eagles fan, so this is a bit of a homer pick, but the Eagles, that would be a genius move by them. You're getting this kid who's, in my opinion, like Adrian Peterson. He runs upright. He has a really unique style. He's really tough to tackle inside the box, and he's a great pass blocker too. And he catches the ball in the backfield. He's one of those can't miss prospects. So To me, the Eagles at 10, that makes sense. We've seen now a lot of people mocking him to Atlanta at 8. Again, makes sense. They're a team that they took Pitts over a quarterback. They took him over Justin Fields, which was a dumb pick, but it seems like that's what they like to do. They like to take these offensive weapons. So, Robinson, you can take him right now. It's 66-1 to be a top 5 pick. It wouldn't be shocking to see the Seahawks take him at 5 because once again, that's another team that they think they're pretty good. They got Geno now to a new contract. They have good wide receivers. Yeah. The only thing really missing there is a dominant running back. Get him at, I think it's now down to minus 115 to be top 10. So, again, there's a bunch of different odds to take him on. But to me, Robinson to be a top 10 pick is pretty good. And to be honest, I think I'd have to check the odds, but I think it's up to minus 130 over 1.5 running backs in the first round. I like it. The Eagles have a pick at the end of the first round. I think Detroit does as well. There's a couple of different teams that could take a running back. The kid out of Bama is really good. There's just a couple of quarterbacks that could work into that top 31. So to me, over 1.5 running backs first round is a good bet, and Robinson to be a top 10 bet. I just like him.
I love that. Okay. You mentioned the Lions. Now, I'd be remiss to say that the Lions have lost a couple wide receivers due to gambling problems, and then a couple of them are suspended. Do you think that that's going to shift what the Lions do at all? Do you think that they're going to be looking more at wide receivers than probably previously now that they've lost a couple other guys?
They could. Like they're in a really unique position where if I'm the Lions and any one of these quarterbacks drop, I take them. Like they have the 6th pick. I think they're pretty good. I don't know how many more times they're going to be in the top 10 here. Yeah, nothing against Jared Goff. We know what Jared Goff is, right? Like we all know what he is. Yes. So to me, you take a kid, it's kind of like the Wentz and the Hurts deal where it's like, or even Jordan Love with Rodgers. You want to take a young kid here up high and maybe they'll push Goff to be better. Like people forget Rodgers was struggling. They drafted Love. Yeah. He won the MVP 2 years in a row. So to me, they're in a unique position where, I agree with you. They should add a wide receiver, a defensive player, but I don't know. It'd be tough to pass on a quarterback when they're so high here. So to me, the Lions in a really unique spot of, this is the week the North has been since Brett Favre came into the North. So maybe you're right. The Lions should just go receiver, but if I was them, I'd go defense. They struggled a lot last year defensively. Their offense was humming, especially towards the end of the season. So to me, I'd attack that defense if I was drafted for them.
Okay. All right. So what about some other draft position bets that you like?
Back to the quarterbacks. It's been bet up though. That's the only issue here is the over 4.5 quarterbacks has just been, it was like we were going to do the show yesterday. I think it was plus 105. Now it's minus like 140. So that's probably reaching my limit there. Maybe minus 150. That'd be my limit, but it seems like teams like this kid Hooker. I can't believe it. The kid out of Tennessee, especially because he's so old coming off an ACL injury. But they like him. So if a team's willing to trade up into the first round and take him, that's really what the market's dictating right now. Like, again, this is a lot of big money coming in to move a number so egregiously. So I like that a lot. I like Zay Flowers under. I think it's 22.5 now. I
love Zay Flowers. Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting draft class when it comes to the wide receivers. So to me, you can shop around. He was at 20-1. Now he's down to 4-1 to be the first receiver drafted. I don't hate it. The kid's a speedster. He plays outside. We've seen teams reach for these really fast outside receivers. So I like Zay Flowers a lot at this wide receiver position. And I don't know. I would say it's a crazy bet, but it makes sense. And that would still be CJ Strauss to be the number 1 pick. I still think you're getting good odds at it. I bet it again this morning. I can't help myself. It's just like I can't see this kid falling out of the top 3, top 5 like a lot of people keep projecting just because of one bad test he took. So I still hold out a little hope here at 35-1 that CJ will be the number 1 pick.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you about your long shots, which obviously this 35-1 I think is a good one. But I'm curious on your thoughts on Jalen Carter because he was perceived to be, a first rounder, maybe the first defender off of the board. And then, of course, there was so much outside stuff that happened with the car crash and the unfortunate deaths of some people, and then him gaining some weight and then not doing that well at the combine. Where do you see Jalen Carter being drafted?
Yeah, and again, he was my number one guy on my big board. Like, I love him. He's kind of a franchise changer where you draft this kid and you can kind of build your front around this guy because he just eats double teams. That's what he'll be the rest of his career. He'll get a lot of doubles. He'll be incredible against the run. Maybe get you some random sacks here and there, but he's kind of a franchise setter. I think what teams are scaring off by is, I feel like what you just talked about. They watched a lot of the tape I watch, where this kid's taking plays off in college. Like, it's just a bad look when it's like you're playing for millions and millions of dollars. You know that all the eyes are on you. You're not playing hard in every snap. Again, the right team, the right coaches, the right players can correct that once he gets to the league, but it also can go the complete other way. This kid can get a ton of money at whatever he is, 21, 22-year-old, and he just doesn't care. So I think a couple of the scouts I've talked to, some teams don't even have him in a first-round grade because of it. They don't like his attitude. They don't like the way he talks. They don't like the way he, not treated teammates, but there's a lot of stuff that pops up that he's kind of a me guy. So I think it's interesting when you heard, I think it was Todd McShay was the first one that kind of talked about his character issues, and he got dragged through the coals. And then I think a week later, the news came out about the car accident.
Yeah.
Ever since then, Carter's just been dropped off a lot of guys' boards. I haven't changed. I still have him my number one prospect. I still think, not that he's a can't miss, but he's a guy that his floor is so low. He's just, to me, he's a guaranteed 10-year vet. Like, he's going to be on a team no matter what. So it's shocking seeing him drop, but now we've seen some movement on his number. I think his over-under was 7.5. Now it's 6.5, and it seems like Detroit's the spot he'll go to. Like, the coaches met with him. It makes sense, right? Dan Campbell, the rah guy he is, met with this guy who's a freak. He's a huge human, and he was just like, you know what? This is what I want on my defense that literally could not stop the run last year. So to me, Carter under 6.5 makes sense. Detroit, I don't think they're going to do what I want to do, which is take a quarterback. I think they're going to have taken Carter at that spot.
Makes sense. I think he'd fit in very well with a Dan Campbell run team. All right, so you told me you're an Eagles fan. You got the number 10 overall from New Orleans, plus you got the number 30. What are we doing?
I mean, it's that we all talk about all the time, especially a lot of pros. I would say it's the most talked about topic right now is how much better the AFC quarterbacks are than the NFC. The NFC is dry. Right now that Rodgers left, I mean, like, literally me and this guy are arguing about it. Is it Hurts, Dak, and Stafford? Is that really our top three for the NFC? And some guys want to throw Kirk in there. Some guys want to throw Justin Fields in. It's just wide open. So to me, as an Eagles fan, I want guys that can play right now. I don't want what we had last year, which was our first-round pick barely played, our second-round pick never played, and our third-round pick never played. And, yeah, we made a Super Bowl, so it didn't matter. All those guys are going to have to play this year. So to me, Howie's looking at a team of win now. So the Robinson pick would be completely out of the blue because he's never, ever, ever taken a wide receiver or a running back that early. Or I guess he did when he did 2 years ago, but he usually just goes O-lineman or defensive lineman. But I think Howie's going to do it. I think he will take Robinson if Atlanta doesn't. So to me, that's the pick at pick 10. Then at the very end of the draft, pick 30. I don't know. At the end of the first round, you're kind of going for upside guys. So I would hopefully they go for a D lineman just because our team's old. I'm not going to lie. Like, our defensive line is old. So to me, that's where the Eagles need to get young, is on the D line. So I see them going D line at that 30th pick. Early on, I see them going either D line or running back. Robinson's too good to pass at 10.
Okay, I agree with you there, especially because gave the 49ers one of your big guys in the defense, Hargrave. So we're so excited about, Bosa and Hargrave, like, good Lord. But we'll have to, of course, see what we're doing at quarterback this year. Any other bets that you think that we should tail? You've given us a lot.
It's tough. I would say to people, this just because it's like all the numbers are just been bet up, right? Like you were just talking about, a lot of the things are up to like minus 300, minus 200. If you haven't made any bets yet, I would keep waiting. I'd wait until Thursday morning, honestly, just because the market's going to really move. Like, the pros, a lot of right now is just the public betting. The pros are going to come in really heavy the next 2 days here, just because books are going to up their limits heavily. So a lot of the movement I would trust over the next couple of days. Like, this Levis stuff, I don't trust at all. Like, to me, that's all BS. Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, like those are that's when the real pro money starts coming in. So to me, my advice to people would be don't follow the public. Kind of go for the big plus numbers. Once again, no one will be shocked if Bryce Young goes 1, but bet like he won't, because that's fun, right? We talk all the time. That's kind of one of those things where it's a rare opportunity. There's no guaranteed number 1 pick right now. We've seen his odds come way down. To me, my advice to people would be bet plus numbers. Have fun with it. Don't just bet the chalk. Don't bet the minus 300s, minus 400s. Kind of go with the underdogs and what might happen.
Okay, I love that. Good advice. Simon Hunter from the Action Network. Thank you so much for joining us. You can follow him at Simon Hunter NFL. And of course, I'm sure you have articles on the Action Network. You got your podcast. Let people know where to find you.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm not the best at Twitter, but I'm trying to do it more now that people are kind of getting on it more. But yeah, social media wise, I'm on Twitter. If you ever want to hit me up, you can definitely do that.
Okay, awesome. Well, Simon, thank you so much for joining us. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesars Sportsbook, and we'll see you next time.